thinks she's got an impossible problem. But I believe you can solve that problem with her in just a few minutes if you will spend that time with her. I said, well, Laurie, tell her to meet me backstage. I'll get there about 10 minutes early. My schedule was such that was about all I had. Well, I got there, and I was on backstage behind the curtain on one side. She spotted me from the other side, and as she walked across the stage, I have never seen as much anger in a human being in my life as I saw in her. She almost started crying when she saw me. She said, oh, I'm just so glad to see you. I got this horrible job. I hate it. I hate everything about it. I hate everybody down there. I mean, you talking about negative nails. She was it. She said, can you help me? Now, understand, I've only got about 10 minutes. So I looked at her, and one thing I have learned, I don't do counseling, but I talk with a lot of people who do, in psychology, psychiatry, and the ministry. And they tell me that everybody who comes to you with a problem are not necessarily looking for a solution. I couldn't understand that for a long time. Why do they bring you a problem if they don't want to solve it? Well, I can tell you why. They want to tell you about it, you about it, you about it, you about it, and you about it. And if you foul up the deal and solve the problem, they can't tell you again, you again. They want the attention that goes with the problem, and every company just about it has that kind of an individual. They want the attention that goes with griping and complaining. Well, I looked at the lady, and it wasn't unkindly, but firmly I said to her, yes, and you know, ma'am, I'm afraid your problem is about to get worse. She said, what do you mean? I said, I believe they're going to fire you. She was stunned. I couldn't have stunned her more if I'd hit her in the face with a bucket of ice water. She said, fire me? Why on earth would they fire me? The inflection in her voice clearly said, they're the bad guys, I'm the good guy. Why don't they fire them and keep me? Have you ever noticed that people who are the problem never recognize that they are? They're in complete denial. They think denial is just a river in Egypt. Why would they fire me? I said, ma'am, I don't believe there's a company in America big enough to contain this much poison in one small spot. Have you ever noticed that when somebody is about to lose something they've been complaining about, whether it's a car, a home, a mate, a job, or whatever, when all of a sudden it appears they're going to lose them, it takes on brand new value. She looked at me and said, well, what can I do? I said, do you really want to know? She said, yes, I do. That's the reason I came to see you. I came looking for help, but you sure haven't been any help so far. I said, well, ma'am, I've got an idea, and I will absolutely guarantee you it positively, definitely, absolutely will work if you will just do it. She said, I'll try anything within reason. I said, okay, when you get home tonight, all of your household tasks are complete. It's bedtime. Get off in a room right by yourself. Get a sheet of paper out, and at the top of it write, I like my job because. She interrupted me. She said, that'll be easy. I don't like nothing about that job. Don't like nothing about those people down there. And I said, well, just as a matter of curiosity, do you work there for benevolent reasons, or do they pay you for working there? She said, well, I got to confess, they pay me. And I said, and you don't like to be paid? Oh, she said, yes, I do. I said, okay, tell you what you do. Open your notebook right now. We'll start our list of the things you like about your job. They pay you for working there, and you do like it, don't you? She said, absolutely. But she just stood there. I said, no, open your notebook now, and we'll get busy on the list. She just stood there. I said, ma'am, let me tell you what my experience in life has been. I've discovered that in 100% of the cases, no exceptions, people who won't take step number one never take step number two. You see, she had come to me with an impossible dream. Her dream was that nice Mr. Ziegler was going to solve all of her problems, and she would live happily ever after. But folks, I got news for you. I can't solve her problems. I can't solve your problems. But I will give you some steps that I'll absolutely, definitely, and positively will work for you, as it worked eventually for her. I said, well, ma'am, let me tell you something. Unless you're willing to take step number one right now, it's been nice talking with you. She angrily opened her notebook. Before we got through, there were 22 things she liked about her job. Not only did they pay her for working there, they paid her above average. She had 3 weeks vacation with pay. She had a retirement program. She was in on profit sharing. She had health insurance, life insurance, and accident insurance. She lived less than 10 minutes from home. She was in on management decisions. The company sent her to 3 seminars a year to be paid for. She had her own private office and parking place. 22 things that she liked about her job. Now I said, ma'am, when you get home tonight, everything is finished. Get off in a room right by yourself, close the doors, change one word from I like my job to I love my job. Get in front of that mirror, and folks, I cannot say this strongly enough, but I'm going to try. The eyes are the windows of the soul. Look yourself in the eye, and with excitement and enthusiasm, say, I love my job because they pay me for working there. I love my job because they pay me above average for working there. I love my job because I have a wonderful insurance program. I love my job before every one of the statements. You will sleep better that night. You see, there's something hidden in what I'm saying to you now. When she says, I like my job, she's really saying, I'm grateful for my job. And of all of the emotions we can have, according to Hans Selye, the #1 stress specialist in America, the healthiest of all human emotions is gratitude. I said, you go down that list. I like my job. I love my job, rather. That is a way of gratitude. You'll sleep better the first night. Tomorrow morning, when you get up, get back in front of the mirror just before you go to work. Get back in front of the mirror and repeat the process again with excitement and enthusiasm. I love my job because, and take the list with you. Because the reality is, you see, you will have started to change from a fault finder to a good finder. Some people do really find fault like there's a reward for it. They really do. Take the list with you, and you will be able to add to that list, absolutely guaranteed. Do this every morning and every night, and you will have an astonishing recovery from this advanced case of stinking thinking. Now, I didn't say that to her, but I'm saying it to you. That's what it was. It was an advanced case of stinking thinking. Well, 6 weeks later, I was back in Birmingham, Alabama. I was doing a follow-up sales seminar. Now, the lady was not in sales, but she had been listening to my tapes. She had been listening to Automobile University, and she had discovered that everybody sells. Everybody who will ever hear this is in selling. Whether you're a school teacher, a civil service worker, a military personnel, an executive secretary, it doesn't make any difference. What you do, you sell every day of your life. There she was at the sales seminar, seated on the front row, grinning so wide she could have eaten a banana sideways. I'm telling you, you're talking about somebody that was excited. She was turned on. I said, well, how you doing? She grinned even more broadly and said, Mr. Ziegler, I'm doing wonderfully well, and thank you for asking. She said, you cannot believe how much those people down there have changed. I got to lay it on the line, folks. You're not going to change anybody else till you change you. Everything really does begin with you. Now, you see, the unfortunate thing, this lady had been raised in a very negative environment. First, her parents had told her that she'd never amount to anything. They had said, you know, you're always late, you're always sloppy, why can't you be like your brother or your sister or whatever? When she got married, her husband had continued it, and so her self-talk had become completely negative. Everything that she said about herself was negative. Like Dad said, I'll never amount to anything. Or like my husband says, I can't do anything right. But when she started changing the input, then some radical change.
What's up, Fire Nation? Another bonus episode coming your way. This one was a great chat. I had a lot of fun with Terry Wilson. Terry is a serial entrepreneur who offers entrepreneurs and solopreneurs the tools, training, and technology needed to earn and enjoy more. For the past 13 years, he's helped thousands of hungry individuals discover their thing, develop the skills to do it, and be given a strategy to deliver it to market and produce value. Terry has a weekly podcast that can be heard on iTunes, Stitcher, and at terrywilson3.com. He also wrote a book called You Are Worth More, which you can check out at youareworthmorebook.com. We have a lot of fun in this episode, Fire Nation. I truly hope you enjoy. It's hard. It is hard work to achieve uncommon success. But you know what else is hard, Terry? being broke.
You better believe that.
Living paycheck to paycheck, not being able to support your loved ones, not being able to support yourself, not being able to get up in the morning and do something that you want to do, but doing something you have to do. That's hard too. So Terry, my call to action for everybody here is choose your hard. Like back in 2012, it was hard. I spent 32 years of my life doing hard work and making the wrong decision on choosing my hard. I was going down the wrong path. I wasn't having any success. But then I flipped it and I said, you know what? Building this business, Entrepreneurs on Fire, it's going to be hard work. But the alternative is hard too. So I choose the hard of building a life of freedom, of building a life of choice, of building a life of uncommon success. And that's my call to action to everybody hearing our voices today. Choose your hard.
Choose your hard. Boy, I love that. You know, because there's a high cost of low living. And sometimes we think that, you know, we're just going to get out of this easy by taking the path of least resistance. And boy, sometimes the end of that path is just a tiger. I'm telling you, brother, I'm telling you.
Identify your big idea. Not be a weak, pale imitation of somebody else's big idea, which most people do. They're like, oh, look at what Terry's doing. He's so successful. Look what John's doing. I'll just copy them. And then you wonder why you fail, because you're a weak, pale imitation of those people and you will never win as a result. You need to come up with your big idea, your zone of fire, and wake up every day on fire, living that life. That is the life that you deserve. Because what at the end of the day do we really want? Freedom. The ability to wake up and do what we want, where we want to do it, with whom we want to do it with. If you have those three things, what more is there in life? And you can give yourself that gift. Just take it.
Which is identifying why are you here? You know, I like to say it this way. You're not a cosmic accident. You didn't show up on planet Earth because lightning struck a mud puddle billions of years later and you crawled out. You're a significant person with a significant reason for being here. There's a reason for you to be here. And once you identify that big idea, as John just said it, life becomes, oh my gosh, becomes unimaginable. Give us go ahead.
Just on that point real quick. I mean, I think it's so key for people to understand this, like what Terry is just sharing. There is so much wisdom out there in this world, but there's also so much noise and it's chaotic. And sometimes it's so hard to really cut through all of this and to really get to the meat and potatoes, to really get down to what matters.
Does anyone know Terry's story, what Terry did?
I do.
So Terry sold musical instruments, sold pianos, right? And what was it? Was it 9/11 that created the problem?
Yeah.
9/11 creates a problem. Nobody wants to go. There's no money in town anymore. It's a brick and mortar store. Some woman comes up to him in church, some older woman, and she's like, I was thinking about your problem, and the Lord told me you should sell them on the computer. Sell your pianos on the computer. And Terry's like, that's a great idea. I got to get out of here because you're crazy. So, of course, he does it in that sweet way where he says, oh, bless your heart. And of course, he thinks about it. And then he's like, you know, he told me about the story about, you know, the guy, it's a flood and, you know, you should get out. No, the Lord's going to save me. And at the end, he goes to God and says, why didn't you save me? He's like, I did. You know, I tried. I sent you the news report. I sent you a helicopter. You know. So Terry takes that and he's like, God's telling me what to do here, right? So that was the message. I should sell these things online. His first thought when the woman tells him that is, how am I gonna, because she said her grandson sold CDs.
On eBay.
Yeah, Terry's like, how am I, you could just I can't put a stamp on a piano, this is crazy.
Drop it in the mailbox.
Yeah, so next day, right? The next day he starts sells them out in a week. So he doesn't think about, he doesn't latch on to his idea of I can't ship these things cheaply, right? He just goes past that. He goes, well, what's my first solution? My first solution is I got to sell these things. That's all he's thinking about. He sells out his whole inventory in a week. Then the problem comes to him. How do I get rid of these things? I've now sold them. How do I deliver them? So what would you guys have done?
Hire a U-Haul and drive them out there.
Yeah, that's what Terry did. Terry got a truck and just was like, well, I'm gonna take my brother-in-law. We're gonna go around the country. We're going everywhere. And he delivered pianos for 2 weeks. That's amazing. And then, then he's like, oh, and the next thing is I talked to someone.
Welcome to TerryWilson3.com.
Over one decade of helping others
Discover, develop, and monetize your skills and talents at TerryWilson3.com.
This is the Terry Wilson. Really, I'm excited, Terry. I want to get started.
You're the real deal, right? You're the genuine article.
Right now, Terry, I'm so inspired after listening to you for the last 25, 30 minutes to go back and do about 400 things. You got me so jazzed up.
I'm still blown away by your story.
When I think of Terry Wilson, I think about the comeback kid.
You're like a cousin or an uncle that I just want to hang out with.
Terry, you have made a huge impact in my life.
Can't possibly say enough good things about you except that I love you.
Here's your host, Terry Wilson.
Not Terry Wilson, it's Reagan Wilson. Welcome to TW3. This is episode 502. It feels like just last week we were episode 500, so that's kind of weird. Welcome, everybody. This is a special episode of the TW3 podcast. It's like an on-location shoot or one of those, holiday specials on a Hallmark show. We're snowed in, and we're actually all in pajamas. It looks like top half, we're professional, bottom half, pajamas.
So all business on the top and all party on the bottom.
Exactly. Yeah. With all that has transpired over the past few years in our society and culture, good relationships with your team, your clients, your community, and your family has to be a priority. Relationship building is not just a personal goal, but a professional mandate. After all, good business is nothing more than good relationships. Tonight, we're going to be talking about how to better nurture our client relationships. We believe that the best way to open and grow a business is to deepen the relationship in it. Tonight, we also have the privilege of having a TW3 Elite Trainer with us, Bobby Christy. Bobby is a TW3 Radio personality and an Elite Trainer here at TW3. And more importantly, he's a big Braves fan. So we'll be speaking with him just a little bit later in segment 2.
Then, in segment 3, we'll be discussing the 8 simple ways you can nurture better client relationships. This will be a great discussion that will lay out both the mindset and tools so you can use to scale the process. So stay tuned for that conversation.
We're going to be taking questions. We're going to be taking questions in segment 4. If you have questions, you can go to TerryWilson3.com and fill out our chat bot. You can also text your questions to 864-507-9696. If you want to send in your questions, those are the 2 ways to do it.
And tonight's show is sponsored by Reading Essentials. Reading is essential for success in life. The faster a child can become a better reader, the faster success becomes more available. That is why we at TW3 recommend this incredible reading program designed by a veteran reading teacher that will help parents set the foundation for their children achieve reading fundamentals. Go to TerryWilson3.com/reading for more info. That's TerryWilson3.com/reading.
The next thing just says DIY graphics, so I'm going to take that over. Instead of paying a graphic designer or copywriter hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to design your next ad copy, email, sales page, or market piece, why not do it yourself? Most people assume that graphics, images, and attractive copy is just too difficult. But with DIY graphic software, you create what you need with just a few clicks of the mouse. Go to TerryWilson3.com/DIY graphics. That's TerryWilson3.com/DIY graphics.
I think it's ironic that the sponsor is Reading Essentials.
Yeah, I was going to make a joke, but I was like, well, what's funny is I was going to make a joke there, but then I saw how much I had to read, and I was like, I don't have time for jokes. I got to read. There's a lot of things I got to think about. So.
The irony doesn't escape me that our sponsor is Reading Essentials.
Yeah, we're aware. We get it.
We get it. Read. So before anyone else throws that into the comment chat, we get it.
Yeah,
we get it.
We get it.
Maybe when they sent that to me, they were actually saying, hey, you might want to use this.
That's even funnier, actually. Yeah. It's like a product it's like the cooking product placements on like YouTube videos, like your cook at home or your shipping cooking.
Yeah.
And they cook for themselves because they can't cook. It's like yours. You know? It's like, hey, we know you can't read, so try our software today.
For real. Yeah. Well, we are talking about building relationships, nurturing those relationships, and of course, everything that's going to be discussed in this particular show can be used, of course, personally and professionally. But we're going to be focusing on professional relationships and specifically client nurturing those relationships with your clients and those areas of business that you work in. What a cool way to live a life where you're in business, you're doing business, you're having fun in business, and you're going around in donuts while you're doing it.
Legal donuts.
Well, we don't know. I guess the one thing I would say about yesterday, as we all went out and went a little crazy.
Degenerates.
In your car is the old adage of monkey see, monkey do was on display.
Yeah,
it very much
absolutely.
was.
Because we show up and everybody's being very reserved.
Professional. When we say show up, we showed up to an Ingles parking lot.
We go to a local grocer's parking lot that's down by our house in Reagan's cross track, which is a 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive. Yeah. I guess it's a crossover vehicle. It's not an SUV, but it's not a...
Yeah.
And you and River proceed to...
Here's my reason, okay?
Have so much fun.
Be a leader, not a follower. That's number one. But number two, I don't think we did anything wrong. If I had taken those turns on a normal day, it would have just been a turn. It just so happened to be that there was snow on the ground, so it made my car go sideways. And I kept doing it. But, I'm not driving recklessly.
Well, I'm just saying, no one
was doing donuts or playing in that parking lot.
No one was playing and going goofy. And then by the time we spent about 5-6 minutes in the parking lot going crazy, what did we see? Everybody coming out of the grocery store just smiling. And so they get in their cars.
Everybody was out. Raise hail, praise Dale.
The funniest thing were cars that were not supposed to be drifting were drifting. And it was the funniest thing to see. You see a Kia Soul just spinning around.
So like you expect certain cars, like the big trucks, like they were coming, you expect that. But what was funny was the soccer moms or like just people getting groceries at the store. And then they would see us. And I assumed that they were mad. They were like, oh, this is reckless. Like, these kids. And I was like, so I was being very respectful. I was trying to stay away. Yeah. It was funny to see them leave the parking lot after they got their groceries, and then they would be like, just kind of looking. And then all of a sudden they start drifting a little bit, and they're like, oh. And then everybody, and then the whole parking lot looks like a Pixar movie. We're all doing circles on ice. It's like.
So I think the point is here, when people see you enjoying life, having fun,
they want to do it too.
They join in.
Yeah.
And the business application here is, boy, when you are having fun in your life, in your business, and doing things, you're going to bring along people with the ride. People get caught up in the wake, if you will, because even some friends of ours. What's going on? All Terry, River, and Reagan are out in the car acting like, oh, I've got my 4-wheel drive.
Wait a minute. I want to act like a fool.
I can act like a fool too, So, building relationships in the community and having an impact.
Looking out for those curtains.
Looking out. Oh, my gosh. We'll talk about that in segment 4. I think I'm still concussed on that. But when we get back, I'm going to have a conversation with our elite trainer, Bobby Christy, radio personality, about building relationships. Relationships are so important. Good business, good relationships. If you want to have good business, have good relationships with your clients, your prospective clients, and those that you call on. When we get back right after this. Earners are learners and leaders are readers. So if you want to go to the next level, you do have to grow to the next level. And that's why I offer free audiobooks at TerryWilson3.com/free book. That's TerryWilson3.com/free book. When you go over there, you're going to get to try the service out for 30 days free. No obligation. And you get a free audiobook just for checking it out at TerryWilson3.com/free book.
You're listening to TerryWilson3.com.
Inspiring, informative, and entertaining content for the entrepreneur and small business owner.
And now back to our show with Terry Wilson.
Welcome back. We're talking about nurturing clients, and I can't think of anyone better than Coach Bobby. So we got a discussion with him coming up next.
Thank you, Reagan. And on behalf of myself and your mother, get a haircut. But anyway, we got Coach Bobby with us, and he's down there in Georgia and enjoying this southern warm weather here in Atlanta. How's it going, Bobby?
We've got warm weather today, but the one of the things that we'll be doing is making that dreaded milk and bread run later because somebody said the word snow.
Yeah, in full disclosure, we're recording this on a Friday. That's before the weekend that we just came through when you see this on the podcast Monday night. And so we are expecting that we're going to be seeing snow and ice this weekend. And now you spent a lot of time up in Pennsylvania, in that area of the world. Did they act this crazy when snow was called for like we do in the South?
I grew up halfway between Pittsburgh and Erie in the snow belt. So we got snow that looks like buffalo. I mean, it comes by the foot. And, you know, they don't stop school for anything. I think we only had a couple of school days called off, and it was so far below zero that you couldn't be outside but 5 or 10 minutes. But, you know, living down here in Georgia, they say snow. And somebody thinks that, there could be a flake, and I mean, it's abject panic.
Well, I hear if you do get stuck in the snow down in Atlanta, there is a 4-wheeler service ran by Chipper Jones that he'll come right out and get you, pick you up, and take you back in case you get stuck on the highway. So,
yeah, he did that with Freddie Freeman during Snowmageddon a few years ago. Yeah. Back when they both lived up in Roswell. Chipper comes down on his 4-wheeler and gets him and takes him home.
Well, I'm expecting that same level of service out of Chipper if it happens to us.
But the thing that's funny is the Southern folks just decide, okay, we're going to stay home. It's the Northerners who say, I've driven in snow all my life, but the problem is, the snow hits, it melts, and then it freezes. And so nobody can drive on ice.
That's true. Ice, it doesn't matter what your skill level is. Ice doesn't play well.
And the only thing they use salt for here is to put on French fries.
It's the Southern way. That's true. That's true.
And, all the trucks and that up in Pennsylvania, they had the 6-7 foot plows on them. And I mean, they could move some snow in a hurry. And I mean, I think that you've got, maybe in Fulton County, 1 truck. And it's being used for something else.
What does it tell you that here in the South, we have more bread trucks on the road right now than we do salt trucks?
That's true. So I'm just going to stay here and stay warm.
I don't blame you. Well,
it'll be gone in 24 hours. And so that's always the great thing. It's, it'll snow one day, and then the next day it'll be, I'll be getting out the golf clubs.
Exactly. Welcome to the Carolinas and Georgia. One day it's 32 or 28. The next day it's 65 or 70. And we call that winter. For real. Well, tonight we're talking about nurturing relationships in the context of business, of course. And to nurture a relationship, there has to be, in my mind, meaningful conversations that are building trust between the two parties. Because let's face it, customers need to trust us as business professionals, but we also need to trust them that they are in this for the reasons stated, and they're in this for not nefarious reasons, but for reasons that are upright, and they're not just wasting your time or telling you a tall tale or, whatever. So both sides have got to trust each other. Both sides have got to want to work toward a common goal. And we just got off of a training call, and we were going over some of our marketing and digital components that we here have at TW3. And you were doing such a great job. You've dug into this app deeper and stronger than anybody in the elite level, especially with this triggering thing. Because I know one of your clients Wednesday night in the mastermind was playing Stump the Band, and I was like, don't allow her to ask any more questions because I don't. But talk to the audience a little bit about how you can, with these tools, automate that nurturing process, because you're able to pre-orchestrate a conversation and how that works.
I wish I had the stats available, because whenever you look at relationships as a whole, we kind of come in and we have to get ourselves in sync with the conversation that's going on inside the person's head. And because we don't know what they're really going through. And one of the things that I try to teach and also try to talk to people about is we have to dig down inside the conversations with the people to find out what really is, we have to sync up with that conversation that's going on inside them right now. And if we can, then we're going to have a successful relationship with those people, because it's not about us. When you really look at TW3, it's not about the software. The software is simply a tool. What makes TW3 a unique place is that it's a family. And can't stress that enough. It really is a family. And it's all about relationships where, especially when we have these trainings where, somebody may have a question and somebody is going to be able to answer that. Now, if we weren't like interconnected as a family, it might take weeks or months to find the answer to that question. And I like the openness. The technology allows us to do it at a lot of different levels. But, some of the numbers that I was looking at is that, whenever we run a lead magnet or something, only 10 or 15% of the people are ready to take action at that point, or over the first 90 days. It's the rest of the 80, 85% will do something probably over the next year or two. And we've got to stay in touch with those people, because our message today may not resonate with them today, but it might resonate with them in 6 months. And we can't really be one and done.
Right.
And so as we bring people into the pipeline, and whether or not we use a campaign or a workflow, being able to have a drip system where we can continually roll things at people in a systematic way, where we're able to find different ways that, will resonate with people and get them to take action.
That's great.
And, because we have all these different lead magnets. Right now, short video seems to be working the best. And, when you think about how you can take a video, take a short video, let's say it's just 10 minutes, you can package it as a report so somebody can read it if they don't want to watch it.
Right.
You can rip off the audio and make it an MP3 file so somebody can listen to them at their leisure. And the one thing that's really unique is that, the number 2 search engine, I don't know if you know this, boy, actually, you probably know, the number 2 search engine is YouTube.
Yeah.
And
I spend a lot of time there.
And I do too. And, the thing that's unique about YouTube is that if you look at it, if you put up a 30-minute video on YouTube, whenever you hit it, you think, maybe I'll save that and come back to it. But if you see one that's like 10, 12 minutes long, all of a sudden it goes off and said, I got time. And they'll watch it, they'll watch it right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell you, I've been actually putting not just the Monday nights, like tonight's podcast, I've even gone back and said, I need to be putting the other podcast on YouTube as well. And it's already, I'm seeing massive results just from doing that. You're right. That's a big place to put your hook out there, because of the search algorithms that they have throughout the entire web.
That's true. I mean, not only with that search algorithm, but, if you put it into manageable bite-sized pieces, people could sample it whenever they want.
Right.
And then they can kind of mark it. And so you can actually create kind of like a step instead of having one big long, 50 or 60 minute webinar. You break it down into 6, 10-minute chunks. And, people can bite off what they want. And then if there's a soft call to action in each video, they can get in touch with you when they're ready.
Right.
And that opt-in then goes into our CRM. And then we get to take, additional action at that point. And that's what makes it so exciting.
It is. It's a fun thing, and we started doing this about a year ago, where we would take this podcast that we're on tonight. It's going to go for about an hour. Sometimes we get long-winded and go an hour and 15 minutes, but it's around an hour typically. But one of the things we started doing about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, is doing exactly what you're talking about, which is breaking various, we call them excerpts, just extrapolating, a 2 to 7 minute portion that might not even sound like it had anything to do with the overarching theme. But I remember the biggest thing was like when COVID first started back in 2020, it was March of 2020, a little later than that. But sometime in that year, our governor, McMaster's here in South Carolina, I don't know if you've ever heard him speak, but he sounds like Foghorn Leghorn. I mean, I get cracked up. Forget the politics if anybody agrees or disagrees. I don't care. But I say, I do declare, boy, I think we're going he just got, and so on this show, we were talking about that for about 3 minutes, just segueing into something else like we do around here. I took that little excerpt and I made a little clip art with Canva that, what we use. And I put Foghorn Leghorn's head on the governor while he's standing behind the governor's podium there down in Columbia, making this COVID announcement. And, normally like this show, I'm going to be sending out to our email audience. I'm going to be sending out. And so we drive a lot of traffic to our podcast here on YouTube and but on YouTube especially, we drive a lot of that traffic through the email system in our CRM at TW3. I'm saying, hey, in case you missed it, or join us later tonight or whatever. That's how that traffic gets here. I did no marketing for that video, and I think it's up to like 8,000 views. Which has brought people over to the podcast that otherwise, would have never listened to a business podcast or mindset show or anything like this, that are now listeners. And so you're right, to repurpose all the stuff that you're doing, if you can take little segments out and say, which audience, and just put it out there. It's amazing how you can bring people into the conversation and start nurturing those relationships and building new relationships, because there's this thing out there, that we would have never, no one would have ever come to me in that context, because of lead generation, or they're looking for a business opportunity. They're looking for a business solution or tool for their existing business. No, they found me because of Foghorn Leghorn. And it just so happens they're in a business or they're in something else. And then, oh, that's interesting. Let me listen more about that. So,
yeah, it's amazing how it works.
It is. But, at the end of the day, isn't it true? Don't you feel like, good business is just good relationships?
That's all business really is. It's about relationships, and it's about helping people.
Yeah. And I don't know why we sometimes, and I'll put myself in there, we make it more complicated than that. I love what you said at the front end. TW3 it's just a family. The tools is just a means to an end, but it's not the end. The end is helping people and working with like-minded people that are going in a direction which is up. We're wanting to go in bigger and better areas.
That's what makes it really neat, because there's no really excuses. We're all accountable to everybody else to make the brand better. And when you're bringing in the right kind of people and talking to the right kind of people, like minds think alike and like minds congregate. And so, we're able to do some amazing things as a team of people. Yeah.
Yeah. And you did a great job today. Here's some people on the live training had a question in sort of in your wheelhouse, a couple questions. One was LinkedIn. One was, setting up these triggers in a way that it sort of automates this conversation that you're wanting to have with your audience, so that it's more natural sounding, that you're not continually sending them something after they've made a response that says, I want this information, not this information, or I don't want anything from you. So
Right.
you can respect those boundaries or pivot with the conversation in an automatic fashion just because the way you've pre-programmed it out. So you did a great job there. So I just want to say thank you for that. But I think it just illustrates what happens when we get together in these conversations. It's a wonderful time together of learning. So I appreciate that. Well, Bobby, what you got going on, brother, in your business? Tell us a little bit about what's going on with TW3 Marketing.
TW3 Marketing is really kind of starting to explode on a lot of different fronts. The consulting and training part of the business is actually really starting to ramp up and take off.
Nice.
Also, I'm trying to insert some LinkedIn training packages as well, because LinkedIn has made a lot of changes, and there is so much more new real estate. It's going to be a lot like TikTok.
Yeah.
There's going to be a voice component coming on. You've got LinkedIn Live now. If you're qualified, and for the content producers, and there's different things that you can utilize on the LinkedIn app. And I'll be probably doing, when it's my turn to do the training next, I'll probably introduce some of the new things. I blew Lori away with a couple of the new things that you do through the app in terms of the way you pronounce your name. You've got a 10-second ad there.
Nice.
And then there's also a thing called the profile that you can access, and that's a 30-second. When you look at a LinkedIn profile and you drag your cursor over their picture and you see that it goes to a video, that's a 30-second infomercial.
Love it.
That you now get to put on there.
So you can put that actually on your profile, your LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, well, after we get done, go to my profile on LinkedIn and just drag your cursor across, and all of a sudden you'll see like a video pop up and click play.
I love it. I love it. Well, I can't wait to see this new LinkedIn training, because I'll tell you, the last one you did, you just rocked everybody's socks off.
And it's amazing what they're doing, because, they're down, the connections are down to just a couple of hundred a week. And, a lot of the things that worked six months, 12 months ago, they don't work anymore.
Well, that's what I was telling the guy on the Zoom. I said, you need to talk to Bobby, because some of the principles are applicable, but a lot of things have changed because the rules have changed. It's a different game.
And they're continuing to listen to their members, and they continue to add things that business people need. And so that's going to be fun.
I love it.
I spend a good part of my day on LinkedIn.
Well, I tell you, out of all the platforms, you don't have to worry about being yourself. That is, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a business person out here trying to help other business people. Whereas with Facebook, their attitudes toward entrepreneurialism and some of the things we do, right, wrong, or indifferent, you just sort of have to play a different game to be relevant over on that platform. So I feel at home with LinkedIn too, just because it's other business people, wanting to do business, talk about business, and how can we improve each other's business. So what's the website real quick? Isn't it TW3-marketing.com? Yep, TW3-marketing.com. If you want to get a hold of Bobby, he is one of our elite trainers here at TW3 that helps folks with the TW3 app, and also with a lot of the training, like what's coming up with this LinkedIn marketing that he's going to be unveiling. And he will be doing a training with us coming up in February. Listen for announcements on that. The radio crew will be coming back to offer weekly trainings on our Monday night podcast as well. But I thought I'd go ahead and reach out and get to Bobby, since I knew he was at home, and I was hoping I could catch him before he got busy with another client, because we just got off another Zoom call. So I do appreciate your time, Bobby.
My pleasure, sir.
All right, boys, back to you.
And now back to our show with Terry Wilson.
We're back. Now let's get in to the 8 simple ways you can nurture client relationships.
8 simple ways to nurture a client relationship. I got this off of Inc. magazine. I thought it was pretty good because I pretty much agree with most of these, if not all. Well, all of these. What am I talking about? I agree with all of them. I thought it's some great advice, and it would be a great way to open up not only, you know, the mindset of doing this, but and then tying for our audience and specifically our members, but even if you're not a member, tools that you can use to help you do this. And so the first one, it says the 8 ways to help nurture client relationships is, number 1, make a dedicated time for those who matter. Make a dedicated time for those who matter. It's hard to communicate value when you don't communicate time. Of course, that's apropos in your not only your business, but your family, your marriage, and everything else in between. But specifically, you know, my idea of that is, you know, you got to set aside time to not only talk business, but just continue that relationship, letting each other know, whether you are the consultant or the consultee, that you know, you value the relationship, you value the person. And one of the things that we do at TW3 is we have our Elite Mastermind, which is set aside. It's an hour or 2, however long it takes,
or 3,
or 3 sometimes. But in our mastermind, the first thing we do is go around the horn saying, you know, what's your win of the week? And it gives everyone an opportunity to say, hey, this is, because what's funny is to go from week to week to week. Well, I'm working on this in my business. I'm working on this, or here's something I'm doing. And then the next week you hear them and here's the accomplishment. This is how I did it. And so it's a way of sharing, you know, and celebrating with one another those wins. And it's also a time to where people can have problems and be honest with it. Hey, I'm struggling with this. And, you know, a lot of times it's most of the time in our business is technical, because there's technical components to this. And what's so cool is having a community there where maybe it's a closing question that Gary has to answer. Maybe it's a coaching question that Lori or Bobby has to answer. Maybe it's a technical component in our CRM that Bobby, you know, the other day we was on a public call. It wasn't even the mastermind. It had to do with triggers. And Bobby's been playing with this thing and was able to come up and say, well, here's what I've been doing. Here's what I'm doing. So it's just that collective community of coming together and that dedicated time to pour value and to extract value from one another.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it also holds you accountable. Making that dedicated time for who or what. That's the other thing too. Talk about sales funnels or sales calls. You know, you realize you haven't taken for me, I'm talking to myself, if I realize I'm not taking enough sales calls, I'm not dedicating enough time to what needs to be done.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's definitely, you know, it's an accountability partner as well. Number 2, attack problems and not people. How many times have you seen bad leaders, bad management, bad, you know, communication with ownership, to where they make it to where they're attacking the people rather than the problem.
Yeah.
And they assume it's the person, and they don't see, well, why is that person? They always assume the worst. And I think that's a terrible way to keep good relationships.
Yeah.
And let's get into it for a minute. Why is it important, at least it is for me, why is it important to not sweep problems under the rug, not pretend that someone's not maybe performing the way they should, but being honest and assess, you know, this is where we're at and this is where we're struggling, but at the same time maintain that relationship. Because I think at the end of the day, if you don't do that, every opportunity that team, that staff, those employees have to undermine your goals, they're going to. I don't get these people that try to lead by a hammer.
Yeah.
And
especially some people, you know, work against you, and that's not what you want.
Every opportunity they get, they'll try to undermine, you know, the direction you're wanting to go. And it makes no sense to me.
That's why I like, because you've said it before, but I like the way our business model is set up, because I used it in a sales call today, where our interests are always aligned with the client, right? It's in our best interest that our clients do well. It's in their best interest that they do well. We want you to make money. We want to make money. So whenever there's an issue, at least with our current structure, it makes it really easy to go, well, I'm not mad at you as a person. I'm not going, Terry, you suck.
Right.
I'm going, Terry, what's the issue that you're not making sales. What
Right.
can we do to help that? Or
Because we want you making more money.
Right. It doesn't do us any good for you, because then what's going to happen is if you don't make any money, you get frustrated and quit, and then we lost out on, a client and any potential.
Well,
clients
all the opportunity lost there.
Yeah.
I mean, so it makes. I love the type of business we're in this business model, whether it be TW3 or anything else. I don't care what I do for the rest of my life. It's always going to be in this type of business.
Yeah.
Simply because you're right. It allows me to, with full heart, full throat, be in this position where I want to genuinely make everyone around me successful.
Yeah.
There's nothing, because it's in my best interest.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you get into this hierarchy thing where, I'm up here in this ivory tower, I don't have to worry about anybody else. I'm so far removed from the people on the field. Then all of a sudden, I'm in this thing. Well, what's wrong? What's their problem? And all of a sudden it's about the people and it's not the actual problems.
Yep.
Because I'm too far removed from it.
And sorry, but just to tack on to that, you're like you were saying, you're not in that ivory tower. Every person in our business, from you to our top seller to our brand new client, everybody is at this level where we go,
yeah,
we're all even. We all have the same tools. We all have the same training.
Everything I have.
There's levels, but my point is, if you're an elite member and you join, that elite member is not going to be getting anything that you don't have. And you're not keeping anything secret from the elite member, because on the elite masterminds, I can count every week. You're going, this is what I'm doing this week. This is what I'm playing with. What's your questions? Well, let me show you how you can fix it. I'm just saying, like any other business, that doesn't happen. It just does not. You don't get to sit with the owner and play with the owner's car, and he tells you how he set up, his payroll and how he went about that just doesn't happen. And so for our business, from our brand new rep to 10-year long,
everybody has the same opportunity. There's no. You're right. The scales aren't weighted. Yep. It's so evenly distributed as far as opportunity and what you can do. So I think that's great. Number 3, be the most positive person in the room. If you want to have a positive impact on your community and build great relationships, I am amazed at how many, I'll just say it, certain clients that we've had over the years that are some still with us. Mm-hmm. And the way we won them over is we never engaged their negative Nancy attitude. We just always kept it positive. We always said, you can do better than this, and you can do better than this. And by us staying positive, it helped them get out of their own way. Yeah. Because they couldn't see certain things and certain opportunities and what they could do because they were just so frustrated. Isn't it amazing how when we are irritated, frustrated, aggravated, we're stressed, we have all this toxic emotions, we can't see anything.
No, it's true. It helps to get that second opinion as well.
Absolutely.
If you're the person giving feedback, or you're the coach, or and you're having to be the voice of reason, and that person's in a negative mindset anyway, it's in everyone's, once again, best interest that you be the one that carries the, hey, no, it's okay. It's okay. We can do this. Let's figure out what the problem is.
Exactly.
And then you attack the problem, not the person.
Number 4, never jump to conclusions. Boy, that's a big one. How many times have you been ghosted? Or how many times have an existing client gone silent? And your mind naturally wants to go to the most negative thing.
Always.
Always.
Absolutely.
And maybe they've got an illness they're dealing with. Maybe something's happened in their life.
Yeah.
Maybe, and what I have found, more times than not, I would say 90% of it has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. But in your mind, well, what did I say? What am I offering? What is it about me, my products, my goods, my services, my business? What is it that I have that is a turnoff? And it has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. And I was listening to Ray the other day, and I love what he said. He says, if you want to be an effective communicator, whether it be through talk, whether it be through presentation, whether it be through ad copy where you're writing, the most effective thing you can learn about a communicator, and I've heard this, but I guess the way he said it, he says, you have to join the conversation they are already having in their head.
That's good.
Wow.
That's
you
really
have to join the conversation that they are already
that's spot on if you think about that. That's
I'm telling you right now, if you want to be heard, because what is it to be an effective communicator? One who is heard.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and they were talking about how often, like this is a very loaded example, but we know it's true because it happens to us, like just people in general. How many times have you been late to work?
Yeah.
13 minutes late or something. And then
you want to field that one, or is he being rhetorical?
Rivers consistent. But no, the example he gave though was, you've got a guy, he's been coming to work 6 months. He's never been late, right? And I've seen this firsthand, so I know this happens, but comes to work 6 months, never late, right? Mm. He's late one day, his boss meets with him, chews his ass out, just like rips him a new one, basically tells the guy like, hey, you can't show up on time, you don't show up at all, you understand? And so what happens in this scenario, right? What's the realistic thing? Well, behind the scenes, who knows what that guy's dealing with? In the podcast example, because they were using a personal anecdote of someone they knew, right. He was going through a divorce, and then he had just found out he was diagnosed with cancer. His head was all over the place. Now, what the guy realized after he had that conversation with his boss, and he got chewed out because he was late for the first time in 6 months at this new company, immediately he made up in his head, I'm looking for a new job. I've seen this firsthand where
absolutely
you have great people that come in. One thing happens, it doesn't have to be that example, but just whatever. And then the person in charge assumes a conclusion and kind of pushes that onto that person. And immediately
puts a thought in their head they never had before until that moment.
And in that moment, they've made their decision, because here's the other thing too. They're not going to find that job immediately.
No.
They're going to look for a few months. And while they're working for you for that few months, do you think they're going to give their best effort?
They're mailing it in from that point on.
So it is so critical that you have that you're peeking at what's the conversation they're having in their head. And what's a good way to find out what it is? Ask questions.
Ask questions.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It just comes down to good leadership. Mm-hmm. And good leadership is the ability to empathize and to communicate. Not that I think sometimes when people hear you say, we got to be empathetic, got to ask questions, you got to join the conversation. Well, you just wanting to give everybody an excuse to, no, there's a standard. Mm-mm. But the thing is, I want them to buy into the standard.
Yeah.
I want them to see it's not just my standard. I want you to adopt it as a standard. Mm-hmm. Because if you do and you perform on this, you're going to be better for it. And I'm going to build some sort of mechanism, some sort of business model that you're going to be rewarded for buying in and executing on that standard.
Yep.
So, absolutely. Number 5, under promise and over deliver. Oh my gosh. If there's one thing that you could do in your business, in your relationships, in your communication, is under promise and over deliver. There's a reason why I'm very we don't do weekly trainings for anyone but elite members. That's the only time you can ask me one-on-one questions. That's the only time, because I'm committed to that. But I have been known to go out after the fact and once a week, even sometimes twice a week, and just do webinars and ask and have anybody on the Zoom call that needs a help.
Yep.
Now, I don't commit to that. I don't promise that. It's not something that you can expect, but I have done it because I want to overpromise. I want to give as much value as I can. That's my way of being able to do it, but find your way with your clients. Maybe you tell them that you're only available 15 minutes a week for a coaching call, and you actually give them 30 one week. But do something to where you can, I call it holdbacks, because there's just something about when you can hold the line, this is what I'm doing, can we agree to this? And then you go above and beyond, you will have a client for life.
Yeah, that's good. I think wrapped up, set the expectation.
Manage expectations. Number 6, communicate candidly and honestly. I think that is so difficult for so many people.
That's a personality type. Have you ever met someone that communicates very honestly? You know the type of person that communicates honestly.
Quit looking at me like that.
No, I'm just saying, you're not even the most extreme example I can think of.
Yeah.
We both know Jordan.
Yeah.
Shout out to Jordan.
Yeah.
Most honest communicator I've ever met, because no one can ever say, I didn't know what he was thinking about. If there's,
Well, I think I could easily be that if I hadn't had some business pressures force me into a different direction.
Yeah.
I think the thing that I was always accused of was being the velvet brick. Just putting the sweet charm, the sweet tea on.
Up until a certain point.
Up until a certain point, and then it just gets serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're right. Effective, honest, open, transparent communication is going to go a long way. And honestly, even I know that there are clients of mine that don't like me, but they respect me because they know I do what I say I do. And and when I can't, I'm quick to turn around and say, hey, I'm working on this. This is what I'm doing. This is where we're at. In other words, they don't feel like I'm ever trying to hedge with them. And that's the thing you got to do. Just be an effective communicator, because, you know, sometimes relationships are built on love and respect. Sometimes they're just built on respect. Sometimes they're just built on love. But you've got to nurture that relationship in whatever field you can to strengthen it as best you can. Number 7, be passionately appreciative. And I love that. That was the words that Inc. 500 put on it. Be passionately appreciative. And the reason I put that word passionately is because how many times have you heard a boss or a manager or something placate? In other words, man, good job, buddy. Yeah. It's not sincere. It's not, it's just like they're going through their punch list. You were just one thing to punch off that day to say, I appreciate you. Or how many times, I mean, you in business, if you don't come up with a sincere, appreciative way to communicate effectively with your clients, clients pick up on it quick. I mean, clients pick up, you know, you want to starve as a salesperson, as a business owner, start just phoning it in with, you know, how you truly feel about your prospective clients and stuff, and you'll be out of business the next day.
It's true.
So, and one of the things I love about some of these tools, and I think we're getting a lot in the mindset, and I haven't brought any of these tools in, but some of these triggers and some of these quick codes that we're able to use to really start drilling down on who we're talking to, what area of the country they're in, where they're from, what their interests are, all of those things that we can enter in and infuse into the content that we're putting out to them. Have you not seen a drastic difference just in the last couple of weeks? We keep improving it and tightening this up. And now, would you say you're getting more and more high quality conversations?
Absolutely. Before 11:30 today, I had 3 good prospects.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, and that's from us working on it and playing with it. But, you know, a month ago, it would take me all day to get 3 good prospects.
And that's just in
15 conversations versus 5.
Now we're getting more and more intentional about how we navigate that conversation. And no matter who that client is, whether they're a buyer or not, giving them value, expressing our heart to try to help, regardless if they buy anything from us or not, asking their permission to be able to send them to other things and other opportunities and other products and services. One of the things I just put in the follow-up sequence of, you're going to love this, of the folks that, because 95% of the people you're talking to is not going to be a client of ours, right? Yeah. And so,
well, actually, nowadays it does feel like it's about.
Well, I'm talking about, you're talking about the people you're talking to.
Right.
I'm talking about that go into your funnel, because you're only talking to the people that have
cream of the crop.
The cream of the crop.
Yeah.
But the rest of them, one of the things is we're giving them hourly and salary jobs. Another thing is we're offering them the ability to take a quick course that teaches them how to improve their resume, and if they are employed, how to improve their skill sets to raise their income level. I mean, and it's not but like $19, and it's done by an HR professional that is offering this. I mean, it's dirt cheap. It's normally like a $97 course.
Yeah.
Because it's through one of our RMPs, we're able to get it for like less than $20. And we're putting that in the sequence, saying, hey, we're not trying to sell you anything, but if you would like to improve your income or get a better hourly job, we've already sent you some of those. And maybe in your town, the type of hourly salary jobs are lower, medium, and you need to earn more. Well, here are some quick ways that you can improve your skill set. Value.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking, though, is as you're going through this, I've just been thinking in my head, like, what are some takeaways? Like, what are the areas that we could be improving in my calls, right, that we're doing? And I just think it's funny because it's like, well, actually, lately we've been working on this funnel so much. I feel like this is exactly what we're doing. We're trying to hit that criteria.
We're doing every one of these criteria. I saw
this. Making dedicated time for the people that matter. And that doesn't mean that the other people don't matter, but it's not a conversation of value to me or them if they talk to me.
Because we're trying to join the conversation that's already in their head.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so we're not trying to book an appointment with someone and talk to them about the greatness of entrepreneurialism and when they're not there yet. Why even try? In other words, we're meeting people where they're at and meeting them.
We're number 6, communicating candidly and honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you want to earn $500,000 a year, you want to do this, well, you're just not going to jump from 7-Eleven. And I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody. Those are honest jobs, and I would be there tomorrow if I had to do. I mean, you do what you got to do to make a dollar. Okay, so don't hear any attitude behind that. But you can't go from there to being a dentist, a chiropractor, a doctor, a lawyer without developing those skill sets. Yeah. You as a person have the character and the means. You're valuable enough. You are worth more to do whatever you want.
Yep.
But your skills aren't there yet.
Yep.
And that's what you got to work on. And so I love the fact that we're starting to bring on some of these other things that, okay, where are you? Let's help you get there.
Yeah. There's not
whatever level.
Yeah. And I can't think of it's hard to find another business opportunity that's like this, where it's so open and honest. It's so on the books, and every single person you're talking to, you can make money. So you can stay in business, stay alive, you can eat, provide food, but you also help that person.
Yeah.
It's a unique opportunity.
You literally can monetize ministering to people. I mean, I know that's a church spiritual word, but that's honestly what we're doing. I mean, you use whatever term you want. We're ministering to people. We're helping them. Where are you at in your life, in your career?
Yeah.
And for my believers in the audience like me, I would tell you, take the example of Christ. Before he started preaching to people, he started feeding them. He fed the 5,000 before he preached to them.
And for me, it just makes me really appreciate how it's operated, because if you go to, and this is no shade, by the way, I want to make this very clear. I love car salesmen. That's not a common thing people say, but I like car salesmen.
Oh, I do too.
I respect the hustle.
Absolutely.
But that being said, I've been in the Subaru dealership more times than I would like. And I can tell you, from somebody that does sales for a living to talking to other salespeople, I see how they go about their day. I see what they're having to do. I see the minutia that they're dealing with. And I'm just like, I don't envy you.
Yeah.
It's BS. Number one, you all look miserable.
Oh, they are. I've worked a sales floor, not in cars, but in other places. And it's a miserable existence.
Yeah. And it's just and then I'm thinking though, let's say your salesman has a great day, right? You make 2 car sales. What is that? $500 of commission if you're lucky?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's why I love dealing people with that hustle. Real estate guys, insurance guys, car guys, even these guys that do vinyl siding, windows, roofing, and those kinds of things. Because at the end of the day, these are all people that understand what it is to get out and scratch out a living.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're hustling. And then they see these tools and say, wait a minute, I don't have to go out and buy a bunch of garbage leads and waste a bunch of money and then feel like I got to twist someone's arm to buy something just to get my money back.
Yeah.
Oh, I can make money without making a sale? Are you kidding me?
Yep. I love the people. I don't love what they're having to do, because I see some great people and then what they're having to do.
It's just a terrible business model. Yeah. They're trying their best to make an old business model that worked in the 50s up till, the early 2000s. And
if you think about it, it just doesn't work like that anymore.
It just don't.
I don't need a car guy to tell me
well, society, culture's changed. Your expectations has changed. I mean, if you was to tell my mother, and especially my grandparents, my grandfather would laugh me out of this room if I told him, Papa, people are going to go on their phones and buy cars that they never looked at, never test drove, never. And he said, you are a fool. Of course, he didn't believe people would buy water out of a store pay for water.
He's got a point though, because that's BS.
He's a wise man, but still.
No, I get it.
Number 8, connect through service. Connect through service. In other words, when you're serving people, you are going to help nurture that relationship. And that's what we're talking about here, is helping people, serving them where they're at, joining that conversation that they're having in their head, and then being so positive and so enthused about life that they start seeing, maybe if they do have attitudes or they do have biases or they do have, preconceived notions, they start seeing things maybe your way if it's different. But it's not because I'm sitting there twisting their arm, preaching at them, trying to be this moral, person punching them over the head. You ought to think this way. No, you do you.
Yep.
Let me find out where you're at, what you want, and how I can serve you. Because at the end of the day, that's all I want to do. I just want to serve you.
Mm-hmm.
It's in my best interest to serve you. Yeah. I don't want to sell you a marketing package or recruit you into something if I can help you in a different way.
And what's so fun is you can tell them all of this on the phone.
We're telling them on a public podcast.
For the people that are like, I just don't know how to do sales. It's like, if you can learn, like if you can retain information, you can do this. Because that's what it is.
If you can retain information and you're self-motivated. Because there's nobody there that's going to say, hey, are you going to do this today? Yeah. And that's a huge one. No, and honestly, really there's some people, and I'm not throwing shade, but some people have to have, and they've been, and I don't think it's because it's the way they are, it's the way they've been conditioned.
Yeah.
Life has conditioned you to not do until you get that cattle prod. And that's all standard employment is anyway.
That's how human behavior works, though. I mean, a lot of times, we don't learn unless it's a hindrance or it's a pain, and then we go, I got to change something because I don't like the way I'm feeling right now. Something's uncomfortable.
Right.
That encourages the change. That's what. If you're comfortable and you're happy and you're living life, there's really no reason for you to do anything.
To change.
Different.
Why would you change?
Why would you? It's like I'm happy. I'm fed. I got money. But when you start working for yourself and you start, well,
what's the two motivations that psychology? There's only two things that will ever motivate us: pain and pleasure. Mm-hmm. And if I'm feeling pleasurable in life, if I'm happy enough that I'm fed and everything else, I'm not going to change until I feel pain. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just standard. So those are the 8 simple things that you can do to help nurture client relationships. Again, that was make a dedicated time for those who matter, attack problems and not people. Number 3, be the most positive person in the room. Number 4, never jump to conclusions. Number 5, under promise and over deliver. Number 6, communicate candidly and honestly. Number 7, be passionately appreciative. And number 8, connect through service. If you do those, I think you are going to find you are going to be able to nurture a lot of relationships. And if you've got a marketing system like the TW3 marketing package, then start developing your triggers, start developing your funnels, start developing your content, start developing everything you do, your sales scripts, your sales pages. Build all of that around these 8 principles. Serve, give value, and let them know that you're there to help them no matter what direction they want to, because it's in your best interest. When you can communicate that candidly, I'm telling you, we are witnesses of it now. This has always been in our heart, and we have communicated as best we can. But boy, when you can put it in these tools and automate it, you can scale it, and that's where it gets really fun. We'll be back right after this. Here are some reviews of members who are using the brand new TW3 app.
Well, you kind of outdid yourself on this application. Man, there are some nice bells and whistles in here. I mean, this thing is able to do and function in ways that combine a number of different applications together and seamlessly communicate. It's integrated. If you look at my app, you'll say, here's an example of somebody that just got in here and started playing around. No, it's fun, man. It is a fantastic application. And, the funnels, the tracking system, the opportunity, the CRM is all, I love it. It's beautiful. And once, it just takes some time. And then once you do it over and over again, it becomes easier, so the more time you spend working at it, the easier it gets.
To harness the power of the new TW3 app, go to TerryWilson3.com today or call, text, or email your authorized TW3 member.
You're listening to TerryWilson3.com.
Inspiring, informative, and entertaining content for the entrepreneur and small business owner.
And now back to our show with Terry Wilson.
So let's get into your questions tonight. These are the questions that came through in the chatbot at TerryWilson3.com or by texting us at 864-507-9696. The first question we have is, do I have to be a member to buy lead data from you?
No. Yeah, we sell lead data to anyone and everyone. The difference is when you're a member, you get it at a much drastic discount. I mean,
you're getting the wholesale price.
Yeah, you're getting the wholesale price.
You're getting it for as cheap as it's possibly able to get it.
Yeah. Well, show me anywhere you can get 1,000 filtered, scrubbed data list of customers or businesses for less than $10, and I think it's around $8.
Yeah, $8.98 or something.
And if you paid retail, which we retail it out $30, that's still cheaper than everybody else. I mean, we're still
funny. It's still cheaper than the $60.
We're still leaving way too much money on the table, but we're just wanting to attract as many people as we can. Yeah. But yeah, you don't have to be a member. You just get it much cheaper. And the other thing is, caveat, and this is what we're running into in the enterprise sales, FYI to the elite members. The value in all of this is the training. It just is. I mean, we got great tools, don't get me wrong, but we sell these marketing tools and we sell some of these components. And what's the next thing that's asked?
How do I put it together? What do I do next?
Well, I sent out, 1,000, 10,000 emails. Nobody's responded. I've called 1,000 people. No one's responded. The tools work, everything there, but the magic's in how to do it. So, one of the things that we're finding in our enterprise sales is it's a great lead in to going ahead and become a member. Yeah. Because that's where you're going to get the training and the community to come around and help. Yeah. But, to that person that asked that question, no, you don't, it's just, by getting all this stuff and not being a member, it's the training that you're going to be lacking. So, and the support, there's no ticket support. There's no anything like that.
Wow. So the second question we have is, can I use your system to generate leads for other people if I want? I might not want to just generate leads for selling the TW3 software or business.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the Elite package and Plus package is all about.
That's how this whole business started.
Yeah, I mean, this business didn't start off as a product to resell. It was started by me because I was in insurance and I needed to generate leads for my insurance business and my insurance agents. So absolutely. And when you become an Elite member, you're trained and certified to be able to use these tools in a way that would get you approved to be able to even go out and sell leads to companies that we already have contracts with, like Carvana and thousands of different companies that you've heard of. Everything from Nike to Verizon to everything. And this isn't affiliate marketing, by the way. Some of it is, but a lot of it is where you're just being paid to send a lead over there, whether they buy anything or not. Yep. Well, to be able to be offered that, you've got to be, number one, equipped with the marketing tools that's going to generate and qualify those leads. And number two, you got to be able to show these companies that vet marketers for them that you're not some person out there that's just spamming everybody and trying to drive, through affiliate links and stuff. So yeah, but I say all that to say you don't have to go out and buy people to buy leads from you. We've got a whole inventory of people. Now, if you've got local businesses or restaurants or other companies that you've got relationships with and you want to generate leads for them, absolutely go for it, man.
Oh yeah. So number 3, this is a pretty common but a good question. How long does it take to start making money with your program?
Well, after you join, we send you a check immediately. So, no.
So it's basically how quick can you get up to operational speed. The biggest component here is the technical side. There is a technical component to it, but you don't have to make it complex. I tell people all the time, keep it simple. Start making money first and then get more and more complicated. Now, some of the things that Reagan and I have been talking about in the show is how we're using some of these tools and really starting to automate some of these processes so we can really scale. But I would tell you, if you're trying to do all that before you drive your first lead, you're wasting your time. Mm-hmm. I say keep your funnel as simplistic as possible, drive leads, talk to everybody you can, make some money, take that money, roll it back in your business, and then buy yourself some margin to where you can take more and more time to study and become more and more sophisticated, which is an element of complexity that you're going to be introducing into your business. But until you get that point, keep it simple, stupid, as they say, the KISS method, But to answer your question more specifically, the average person, it takes 2 to 3 weeks to get everything built out and then to be able to start. Now, that being said, go back and look at some of our archives. We've had people that's made 10 grand in 1 week of joining. That's the exception, not the norm. Yeah. But the point is this, you're not waiting on us. I mean, everything you need is right there. The tools, the training, the technology, everything. Now, what's not there is, I don't understand how this works, and this is the first time I've done this, and now I'm and then you're sending in tickets expecting tickets to coach you. Tickets in there to coach you. Tickets just that's in step 4 or that's in step 2. That's all tickets are there for. And then we have a weekly mastermind, and you can come to that. And maybe your coach, your sales rep and trainer only offers, 1 30-minute or 1 hour training, whatever it is, per week, and you have to wait on that. So there are some, if you're needing that extra support, there's where the delays, because no one can just drop everything they're doing and come and just do it for you. And I'm not trying to be ugly or throwing shade on anybody, but you've got everything except if you're needing hands-on support, it could be a little slower. And so,
yeah, that's good. Number 4, I want to start this, and I've been following you guys for over 5 years. My credit sucks. Can I still get financed?
Absolutely. Here's all you have to be. You have to be a legal citizen of the United States, and you have to have all your credentials. We had someone come through, and I don't think there was.
When you say credentials, you're referring to like
Social Security, driver's license. You got to be, proven as your identity. We got to have Social Security and driver's license to be able to get you a guaranteed approval. But if we got that, we can get you approved. It doesn't matter. Anybody can get approved. As we say around here, anyone can buy TW3, just not everybody should. I mean, before you go into debt, understand the risk of entrepreneurialism, understand the risk of taking on debt, and then make a business decision. Do you have the emotional, spiritual, and financial capacity to absorb that kind of risk? Because at the end of the day, it's a decision that you are going to own. We're not going to take on, I'm not here twisting anyone's arm. I'm telling most people, do something else if this isn't for you. I don't need to sell anybody anything to make my money. So I'm not going to be here, beg, borrowing, stealing, and pleading with people, please, 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 and putting you in a position where all of a sudden later on you wanting to turn it into my problem and not yours. So, and I say that, and I know that sounds harsh, but when you've been in this business for going on 14 years this July, you learn a couple things. And I'm excited about entrepreneurialism. I'm excited about the possibilities of where people can go, but I want to join the conversation you are having in your head, not what I'm having in my head.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason that if you looked for, when did we start the finance? That was only like a year ago, 2 years ago, really.
No, the financing just started this past July.
So it's been like 6 months.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah. No, before it was.
And it exploded the business.
Well, before it was, you had to pay out of pocket
up front.
And then it was, we looked for third-party lenders, and that's how we do it now. We do the soft credit pool with third-party lenders, and then even if you don't get approved through that, finance in-house for, I'm just gonna say it, it's cheap.
Yeah,
it's cheap. You can get started for $297.
Yeah, $297 down, $150 a month, and you've got a marketing. And think
now,
about
look, if you are making $7 an hour, you've got 2 different jobs. This
do
is probably
not
quite
do
the time.
this.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Sometimes things are tight. I'm not telling you to, but in the grand scheme of everything we're offering, it's it's $300.
I'm gonna talk to that person just for a second that's struggling. I do.
Yeah.
That's making low income and their bills are just. Here's what I want to ask you to do. I want you to find a side hustle with like DoorDash or with like what's these grocery delivery companies?
Like Uber Eats,
Instacart. I want you to find something that gives you guaranteed. What are you making? About $100, $50 to $100 every time you go out, and you're just doing it 2-3 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to do what River does. I want you to go out 2-3 hours a day. I want you to start earning some extra hustle money. I want you to take that money and I want you to put it in a savings account. And I want you to save $1,000. That's what I want you to do. I want you to put $1,000 in the bank. And then once you have $1,000 in the bank, I want you to come back and do our guaranteed financing, because then you've got some margin and you only use that margin that's in that bank.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, get you a nest egg of money that you can actually invest in. Don't use money that you eat and pay the power and kids are depending on you to play with, because then it's going to put you in a financial straits and strain. And then you're going to come to me and you're going to think I'm a jerk because I'm going to do exactly what I said I'm going to do before, during, and after the transaction.
Now, I'll brag on our reps for a little bit here. I feel like we haven't had that in a while.
We have not.
It doesn't happen often either. It's maybe once a year. It's rare
to
have that type of client. But Boy, does it, because it stresses us out too.
It stresses us out because I don't
like it. Like,
well, it's not like I don't care. That's the other thing these people don't get that do get in these situations. And we do have about one every 6 months that just should not have done this.
Yeah.
And, they go sideways. And so
it's contact the BBB. You're scamming people. It's like, how much more can we do? Like, what do you want us to say?
So I just, I don't want to throw away.
We're the worst scammers of all time.
Yeah.
We put our name on the freaking business.
Put our name, address, and we keep telling people, don't do this if you can't afford it. Yeah, we're terrible at this. Yeah. But anyway.
As you can tell, we're over it, though. Once every 6 months, and every time we're still like,
but now I want to talk to you business guys, and then we're going to end here. Wouldn't you like, look at me. I'm looking at you. Wouldn't you like to be in a business where you could literally afford to tell people not to buy something and still make money? That's what this business does. This business puts you in a position to where you don't have to beg, borrow, and steal. You don't have to plead. You don't have to say, hey, get involved with this, whatever. You can literally help people. And sometimes helping people saying, go away.
Or this isn't for you.
Or this isn't for you.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, seriously, we do care. Mm-hmm. We seriously want to help people. And sometimes, a lot of times, most of the time, helping most people is telling it, because you know as well as I do, that out of 100 people, only 10 of those 100 have the mindset, the emotional fortitude, and let's just call it maturity, because they're not in this knotted up place that they could do something like this.
Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean those 90 other people won't be those 10 people later on.
I'm just saying where they're at now.
Where they're at right now.
Where they're at now. And so help people where they're at, join the conversation they're having in their head, show empathy, show compassion, and listen, the good books, if anybody walks away and heard this today and says, man, he's being harsh, I got my feelings hurt. Well, I'm trying to be a friend, and the good book says, faithful is the wounds of a friend. And we're not trying to hurt you. We're just trying to say we want to help you. We want to help you, because we got a ton of people that listen to this podcast, and they're always teetering on the back and forth. What should we do? If you want to help people, if you want to be in a position where you can make unlimited income and literally be in a business to where you could say, this isn't for you, and still make money, this is your business. This is what you need to be in. But if you are on the other side of that and you're like, no, I'm struggling right now, let me be a friend. Get you that nest egg. Work on something. Get that $1,000 put in the bank, and then start small. Go with our guaranteed issued program. It's going to cost you $300 to get everything set up, software and everything. I mean, you're getting $1,000 worth of software for $300. We don't charge any interest on that deal, and you pay it off after you make your first sale. It's the best deal in town. No interest, so we're not charging usury or anything like that. It's interest free. All you do is pay for the software and the monthly admin, and then when you make your first sale, you pay it off, and you're scot free, and you're off to the races.
Yep.
Helping people. That's what it's all about. Guys, we hope you enjoyed episode 502. Elite members, I will see you Wednesday night.
Thank you for listening to our show today at TerryWilson3.com.
Get a free sample copy of the book You Are Worth More by going to TerryWilson3.com now.
If you would like more information on how we can take your money, your business, and your life to the next level, then please visit us online at TerryWilson3.com.